welcome to Fort Fritz, episode 36. I am your host, Fritz, joined as always by co-host Mandaddy.
Hi.
Nick Spry.
Hey.
Angela.
Hello.
And Kaz.
Hola.
So I'm so glad you guys came over. I wanted to do something special for season 2 of Fort Fritz.
Yeah.
And as you know, I love eating fish and different shellfish, you know,
delicious.
the honey, the fat. I wanted to kind of surprise you guys, but as you can tell from the aromas wafting through the air,
Fishy?
I've created a little
briny.
an oyster boil.
Oyster boil.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Angela knows what's up because she kept saying oyster boil.
Oyster boil.
And I was like, oh, I dig.
Oyster boil.
What sort of accent is that? I'm not really familiar with that.
Acadian?
I think it's sea captain.
Yar.
Yeah, like.
I think it's whatever the fuck I want it to be. How about
There you
that?
go.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
So for the past 72 hours, I've been down at Restrepum Bay, just off the back 40, and I've been catching these oysters.
You were waiting
Endemic.
around in Restrepum Bay?
Yep, endemic to this area.
That is a lot of oysters. There's at least, what is it, 25 bushels of oysters? Like large baskets of oysters. How would did you just take every oyster out of the bay?
Angela, show them the other. There you go. Look at that pantry.
Whoa.
Yep.
No.
So
It was
That's
a,
a lot of oysters.
so many.
Did you just do quick bushel math?
Yeah, I did bushel math. You
Who
know,
knows bushels?
I had
This
a
guy.
I had a minor in bushel math in college.
Wait a minute. How many is in a bushel?
A lot. It depends on what you're
Totally a
what you're
master.
counting
You
up.
can
Yeah.
tell. The guy
Is
knows
it
his
a bushel
stuff.
of
The guy knows
feathers
his
or a
Good
bushel
math,
of lead?
yes.
It's a technical term too.
yeah, he checks out.
A lot.
So, yeah, we went down there, and we were catching penumbra oysters, endemic to this region.
Yep.
And they have a slight buttery, yet not too savory taste. All right? So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to go over here and cut open these
Careful,
Careful, dude. Careful, man. You're really flipping that knife around, man. Hey. Careful with the knife, dude. Hey. Put that knife down. Put it down.
I'm playing.
You sure?
You stop playing.
Man.
And
I'm
also,
done with
it's
that
too
thing.
big for fucking
Yeah,
oysters.
that's like
you don't need
a
that.
butcher's knife. That's like a mesh. Whoa!
the shit?
Oh, he's flipping it around like a
right.
juggler.
Are you trained for that?
I am now.
How?
I am now.
That's okay. There's something
acting
different in
weird.
his eyes, guys.
Just check it out.
Exactly.
Check out these oysters, okay?
Okay, we'll check out the
Yeah,
oysters.
yeah, I see
just
it.
Put down the knife, Fritz. Oh my god.
You notice I sauteed them in a nice buttery broth.
Well, yeah, but they're still in the shell. What does that do?
But all you have to do is...
Whoa! You're not supposed to.
Oh,
That's
wow.
not how you do that.
But look at
That's
that.
you cut yourself pretty
Yeah, I
badly.
think half your finger is
my
hanging
God.
off, man.
All
You
of
gotta be
that-
careful.
Is your
What?
hand okay?
How big is that meat, though?
you
On your hand?
Oh my god, you are bleeding really bad all into that oyster. That's a oh my god.
Oh god,
It's definitely way more
Why did
savory.
you? Oh my god.
No,
I thought it was cocktail sauce at first, but it's not. Oh
No, no.
god.
Eating it.
no,
Oh no, don't eat. Don't eat.
that?
Don't put it down.
Oh,
He's got it all over his face.
that's not cocktail sauce.
Disgusting.
Oh, guys, this is gonna. I'm starting to freak
grossing
out a little
me
bit.
out.
I'm
Just
starting
try a bit of this oyster.
That's a lot of.
I'm not having your blood oyster. I'm
No,
not doing it.
I'm good.
I'm freaking out.
Penumbra.
Do you wanna-
Penumbra.
No, that's a blood oyster now.
Penumbra oyster.
No, it's gross.
You need a Band-Aid or something. I'm starting to freak out, guys.
He's
this
like
is so much
licking
fun.
it off his lips.
Oh my god! Oh, stop!
Dude, you're not
that.
supposed to eat your own
Get this
blood.
guy like a handy wipe or something, for God's.
Guys, I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out.
We all are.
I'm
no,
in
no.
control here.
No, I'm really freaking out. Have you ever heard of the Vampire of Sacramento?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
Please be warned, this next story has graphic depictions of violence, animal abuse, sexual assault, and mutilation.
So the Vampire of Sacramento refers to Richard Trenton Chase. He was a notorious hybrid of spree and serial killer in the late 1970s. He killed 6 people in less than a month. He was born May 23rd, 1950. He died the day after Christmas in 1980. He was 30 years old. So Richard was raised in somewhat a normal family structure, 1950s, a small amount of child abuse, which was deemed societally acceptable for the time. But his,
Like spankings.
a little bit more severe than that. But he was raised in a very healthy household. His parents provided everything he never wanted for anything.
Other than some light slammings.
From a very early age, Richard started to exhibit abnormal qualities. He had the classic McDonald triad, which we find in a lot of serial killers. So in these behaviors in childhood are bedwetting, arson, and the torture of animals.
Yeah.
He was especially strong in this last.
2 for 3.
Well,
What is that called again?
the McDonald triad.
I'll let you decide which ones.
It was this last trait in particular that Richard had a very strong liking for, the torture of animals. He was known to torture neighborhood cats. There is a story about him stabbing the family dog in the paws repeatedly and joking about cutting off its feet.
The fuck?
Wow, that's terrible.
So things progress. Richard grows a little bit older. He is, despite some of his oddities, very popular in school, popular with girls.
He was super funny.
He was...
He was very charming other than stabbing puppies in the paws.
He was also, he got into drugs a little early in his teens, so using LSD, using pot. So he had his drug friends, he had regular friends, he would go out on dates with girls, but it also became known very quickly that Richard was impotent. So he, as many dates as he could get, he could never perform sexual acts with
And that rumor spreads quickly
very
in
quickly
high school.
in high school. So things,
Not that I know.
Things go on, and Richard learns a little bit more about anatomy. He's particularly fascinated by anatomy. And he discovers that the impotence rather comes from the lack of engorgement of spongin in the penis with blood. So men get erections because they have a lot of blood in their penis. So Richard, now it is known that he probably suffered from something known as Cotard's delusion, which Cotard's delusion is the feeling that you are lacking organs or that you are decaying on the inside or that you're a walking corpse. Richard started becoming obsessed with the idea of having bad blood, of not having enough blood, that he was decaying or losing this on the inside. And he even went to a psychiatrist to talk about this. It was really unusual. And the psychiatrist dismissed it and let it go.
What year span was this?
So the high school for Richard probably would have been around the mid-'60s.
Okay.
And then he goes into his 20s. He moves out of his parents' house. He eventually gets a roommate, 2 women. He is a small-time drug dealer. He's still very, very odd. He's a thin man. He's rather timid, but still has a small circle of friends. And after living with these 2 women for a while, his behavior becomes increasingly strange. He was known to walk around in public when they had company, completely naked. He had very intense, off-putting behavior.
And that's weird,
Wait
right?
a minute, yeah,
Like,
walking around
It's a little
naked.
strange.
That reminds me of somebody who walks around with the balls out all the time over here.
So small, somewhat awkward societal things like this became more and more apparent with Richard, and his roommates eventually moved out. It was around this time also that the obsession with blood for Richard became more and more prevalent. He began to consume small animals, to purchase lots of rabbits, and he would take them home and blend them and drink the slurry that he had created.
Skinned or non-skinned?
Yeah.
Rabbit smoothie?
Rabbit smoothie. Yes.
Oh, rabbit smoothie?
He was particularly interested in almost taking on the strength like the character Renfield. Sometimes people call this Renfield syndrome, where he's taking on the life force of another creature by
the
consuming
rabbit?
it. Yes.
Strong like rabbit.
There are many tribes who also will drink the mentionables of opposing tribes, warriors. They will drink blood, and also even in current society, the placenta. A mother will ask for that to be taken home with them.
Because they're a weirdo.
It's a different mode of thought, Mandaddy. You know, you're not on that
Weird
level.
one.
The
A
placenta
weird
is
one.
known to have lots of nutrients in it.
That is very true.
So do bananas.
Well,
Right, thank you. Yeah, get a steak.
They make shampoo out of animal placenta, so, you know.
Delicious.
Well, I'm not going to eat shampoo either.
Some gets in your mouth, though. And plus, you don't use shampoo.
Again, this behavior continues to escalate. Eventually, Richard tries to inject the blood of rabbits into his own veins.
That has to be bad.
It is
Into
bad.
Into his penis?
No. In just into his body, in order to prolong his own life, in order to fulfill his need for the blood he felt like he was losing all the time. He, even though it was a delusion, felt like he was constantly in pain. Later on in interviews, he would say that he felt like someone had stolen part of his arteries, or that the bones in his skull were facing backwards.
Ooh,
Whoa.
what?
What?
So
So he's looking out the back of his head all the time?
Or
No,
rather than
it's an odd construction, constant headaches, like right, unnatural.
yeah, so imagine being under that sort of strain all the time. And so now he's in his mid-20s and he tries injecting this rabbit blood into himself. He gets blood poisoning, of course. And his parents finally, after just ignoring this crazy behavior for years, decide to check him into a mental facility. He goes into the Beverly Manor, and it's here because all he can talk about to the staff and other patients at this institution is blood and his consumption of blood, his particular like of rabbits and cats. It is also during this period while he is staying here, he manages to catch 2 birds, break their necks, and drink the blood out of their bodies. And the staff catches him.
What?
Commitment to the game.
Yes. So he earns the nickname Dracula at Beverly Manor.
Earned.
Yeah.
Eventually, he is released under the semblance of rehabilitation. Now, we're approaching the late 70s now. So think 1976, 1977.
Okay.
His parents, like you do after your son gets out of a mental institution after consuming the blood of animals, get him his own apartment that they pay for.
Oh, perfect.
Why not release him into society? What could go wrong?
Yeah.
What, are you
By
gonna live with
himself.
him?
Yeah.
Yeah, the behavior escalates more and more and more.
Duh.
I can see their friends are like, why are you coddling him? Like he was injecting rabbit blood into his veins. You don't know him. He's changed a lot.
And then in 1977, things get worse between him and his family after he procures a .22 caliber automatic pistol.
Oh.
Yeah.
America.
He purchases this gun for $70. He asks his mother to buy him a shoulder holster, which she refuses to do, so he goes and steals one from a thrift shop. He then proceeds to go back to his parents' house, and he shoots the family cat in front of his mother.
Oh, no.
After shooting the cat, he takes the blood coming out of the corpse of the cat and rubs it all over his face and body. They revoke their invitation to Christmas with Richard.
Ooh.
This was apparently
Burn.
Yeah.
sent him into experimenting further with his obsession with not only blood, but murder. So on December 29th, 1977, 51-year-old engineer Ambrose Griffin is helping his wife unload groceries out of the car in their driveway. He collapses out of nowhere. She wonders what's wrong, and it turns out that he has been shot with a .22 caliber bullet. There is no one around. There are no clues except for a few shell casings down the road. This was, in fact, Richard Chase, pushing his limits.
So this was a handgun?
This was a handgun.
Okay, so it was some kind of like automatic.
Correct.
Well, yeah, you said automatic.
It's an automatic, because there were shell casings. Revolvers don't.
Or automatic?
Semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic, okay.
Revolvers don't eject casings.
Right.
Around this time, after the shooting, Richard, with the fear of being caught, puts on a normal semblance to his parents, but socially just falls apart. He stops bathing. Just any form of self-grooming just ignores. He begins wandering around the neighborhood. It is January, in a bright orange parka, and with his current habits of drinking animal blood, he wanders around with dry blood all over him.
Yeah, there's no problem with Richard. He's fine. He just does this weird blood thing, just wanders around. Look at that kid.
Yeah,
He
this
just looked like
almost-
he just pissed off PETA. That's about it.
Right, yeah.
Triggered much?
At one point, he adopts 2 Labrador retrievers.
Oh, God, no.
No.
Executes them and drinks their blood.
Son of a bitch, dude.
Well, my night's ruined.
Yeah.
All of these animals
What
being
a
killed.
bummer.
We'll talk about people getting killed all day long. Talk about some dogs and cats like,
It's
oh,
a
man.
bummer, yeah.
This leads up to the day of January 23rd, 1978. So, all in one day, we see the escalation of a serial killer spree killer in a man that normally takes, I would say, years for any other killer. The day starts off with Richard wandering around in his bright orange parka. He is looking for houses. This also contributes to his nickname as the Vampire of Sacramento. When he would go from house to house, it starts off as burglary. He would only choose houses that were the doors were unlocked. He felt that a locked door meant he wasn't welcome, that he hadn't been invited into the house, but an open door, an unlocked door, was fair game. So he's wandering around the neighborhood looking for unlocked doors, and he checks a house, runs around the back, and stares coldly through the window, the plate glass window, at a woman who is standing right there and sees him. She said that he examined her with such a lack of emotion, it was almost like he was buying something. Like he was like maybe looking over how you would feel about buying a car or buying a new piece of jewelry.
That's a hell of a
He did
description.
nothing. He did nothing but lit a cigarette and walked away. So, a little bit later on, at the home of Robert and Barbara Edwards, he finds an open door and goes in. He goes to their infant baby's room and proceeds to open up the dresser drawers and piss in all the clothes. And then he defecates on the child's bed.
Jesus.
He begins rummaging around the house, stealing things, and he has a bag full of objects that they found later when Robert and Barbara come home. They chase him around the house screaming, "Stop, stop," and he screams back at them, "I was taking a shortcut, I was taking a shortcut."
That's insane.
He manages to slip past them and runs out the front door. So, again, it's this man covered in dried-in blood in a bright orange parka. He's filthy. He's skinny. He looks like death. He shit and piss in this child's room. They chase him out of the house. He goes immediately to the nearest food mart to buy an orange soda because he was thirsty.
Come on, that makes you
thirsty work.
Right.
It is here that he runs into an old high school friend, Nancy Holden. She does not recognize him, and she is frankly scared of him. And he is also carrying around the .22 in his shoulder holster this whole time. He tries to get a ride from her, and she manages to ward him off. About an hour later, he spies, wandering around the neighborhood, a van that was previously at the food mart. He tries the door, and as he's trying the door, Teresa Wallen is approaching the front door. She's taking out the garbage. He pulls his .22, shoots her once through the hand, which he has put out to stop the bullet. It pops out of her elbow, nicks her neck, then he shoots her again in the head. Then he goes directly up to her from about 6 inches away and shoots her once more in the head.
Oh, man.
Point blank.
Point blank.
Called the full John Wick.
At this point, Richard drags the body inside. He goes to the kitchen and gets a knife, takes a dried yogurt cup that he finds from the garbage that Teresa was carrying into the bedroom, and proceeds to stab her so hard that it splits her sternum open and cuts her open, moves around her organs, repeatedly stabs them. Everything is damaged except for the kidneys. He then fills the yogurt cup with as much blood as he can from the stomach cavity and drinks it. He rubs blood all over his face and hands and leaves the building.
He desanguinates her.
Yes.
And then bathes in her blood.
Police,
and then walks away?
Police basically found bloody footprints and handprints. He had been smart enough to wear rubber gloves, or aware enough to wear rubber gloves. Things get even worse from here on. In a 4-day span, he is seen wandering around the neighborhood, going door to door asking for old copies of Mad Magazine and Cosmo Magazine.
Oh, weird.
This leads up to January 27th. At 9 a.m., 38-year-old Evelyn Meredith is planning to get her son, Jason, who is 6, ready for a trip to go into the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Her friend, Danny Meredith, comes over and she asks him to run out and get snowshoes, to rent snowshoes for Jason. While Danny is away, Richard Chase shows up at the house. He goes around the back, he finds the back door unlocked, and goes inside. Evelyn is in the bathtub, and he shoots her once in the head, killing her instantly. He drags the body from the tub onto the bed, and it is thought, no one knows for sure, that at this time, Jason, her son, comes into the bedroom, where Richard proceeds to shoot him twice in the head.
Christ.
He then continues to defile the body, as he had before with Teresa Wallen, when Danny Meredith comes back to the house. He greets him in the hallway and shoots him between the eyes once, killing him.
Jeez.
All of these just point blank range,
Yes,
right?
as close as possible. It's at this point that he hears a small child's cry from the other room.
Oh, no.
That is of 20-month-old nephew of Evelyn Meredith, David Ferraria. After defiling the corpse of Evelyn Meredith and proceeding to sodomize it, after eating part of the liver and removing as much blood as possible, he goes and kills the 20-month-old. He leaves part of the brain in the bathtub, decapitates the child, and leaves the house with a bucket of blood and the infant's body wrapped in a blanket under his arm. The police worked very, very hard on this case, and with the help of Nancy Holden, after recognizing a police sketch of the suspect, they were able to apprehend Richard Chase, who was eventually sentenced to death in 1980 at the behest of other inmates and the people surrounding him in prison, in San Quentin prison. He overdosed on his antidepressants and died of toxic ingestion.
So you think my oyster boil is as bad as this guy?
Did I overreact?
I don't know, man. There's
I don't
something
know.
in his eyes. There's something in his eyes. I mean, I've seen a lot of weird looks out of this guy.
But that? No way. Come on.
But I mean,
Give
I'm
me a little bit
not
more
saying you're
credit.
going that far yet.
Maybe not.
Well, you
as
just seem
bad,
to be
but-
really down in those bloody oysters like it's nothing, because it's a lot of blood. It's more of a blood-oyster ratio that we have a problem with.
You're really enjoying stabbing at them, too.
I mean, I was just having fun. I can take. I can take a step back.
It was a progression.
Okay, wait, slow down.
I'm not
Look at,
doing
see,
it.
look in his eyes.
Dead
Back
eyes.
up, back
I'm just
up.
going to sharpen it a little bit.
He was looking at me like he was buying a car. That knife.
He's sizing you up, I think. I think he looks like he wants to shuck you.
You can't shuck Kaz.
He wants to shuck the hell out of you. Wants to
Maybe we
shuck
should-
you all night long.
Do you guys think we should we're gonna step over here and have a quick powwow. Just us. Shuck me some more of those butter blood oyster penumbra.
Keep shucking.
You got it, baby.
Shuck them up.
Wow, he's getting good with that knife.
Ooh.
Oh God. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, welcome back to Fort Fritz. We're in the pantry. We had to step away. Fritz was getting a little stabby.
A lot stabby.
I didn't know that you could shuck oysters from the inside, like
He
stab
was shucking his
through the shell.
hand and the oysters, and it was like a whole fucking thing.
He
right?
broke that oyster knife.
He got a weird look in his eye. Something's going on.
He drank a lot of his own blood.
What's with the oyster? He was wading around in that weird fucking spooky bay with whatever the fuck new kind of oysters he found, and he's eating them in his blood, and this is not right.
Yeah, he took a lot of them. It's like that he almost had like an oyster genocide out there. He took out all.
It seemed
oysters.
like all of the oysters that
he
could be there. Right?
It's like a vengeance against the oysters, and then he's drinking their blood along with his blood as he becomes one of the oysters. I don't know.
Is it weird that he doesn't use crackers when he eats them? Because I was
I was wondering if there weren't crackers, but I see them right there. Right?
Oh, shit.
Have you noticed?
They're here.
No horseradish at all. I mean, the guy's a fucking barbarian. That's just rude.
It seems like
Guys, what's that noise? Sounds like
that's all.
How could he still be shucking?
He's
oysters?
quietly
There's not that many oysters out there.
He's quietly shucking to himself.
it's getting louder.
That's
He's
not
coming
good.
closer. He's coming closer.
Oh man, this is creepy.
Okay, so I don't think we're safe here anymore. I think we should go. Library. We'll go to the library.
Well,
there's like
at least
flamethrowers.
Yeah, at least we can burn him if we have to.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea. So,
Okay.
Are we gonna do the 1, 2, 3 thing and run, or are we gonna?
If
try
we
to
all
stealth?
run and we scatter, he can't shuck us all, right? Like,
we're all unshuckable at that point.
So,
well,
Mandy,
one of us
you
is
go
shuckable.
first.
Oh damn it!
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Up the stairs, guys! This way! This way! This way!
Oh my god! Look at his eyes, and he still has his pants off again. Why?
Angela, these are the best oysters I think I've ever seen. The meat on these, Jesus.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah,
Amazing.
some hot sauce?
Guys, what are you doing? You running to the bathroom together?
What?
Oh man, I think that really riled him up, man. I don't think you need to call him out like that, man.
God, did I overreact again? I mean, we're not.
You
oysters.
keep doing it.
I am.
All right, take it easy. Take a deep breath. Did you say you ate some of the oysters?
I was hungry.
You didn't have crackers or fucking horseradish or anything, and you just
Okay, next time when we're being
get
chased
it.
by murder, stay away from the pantry. Let's go to the gym. Okay, we'll go to the little workout
It's a healthier
area.
choice.
Yeah, it is. It just ain't for
Although
ourselves.
oysters probably not too bad for you.
Do you think maybe he could like steam them with the blowtorch in here?
Ooh, that's a possibility. It's like they give it like a grilled, like smoky flavor.
I think I found one of the many, obviously, phonographs that Felix keeps around here.
Oh, you gotta put on some tunes.
I think
now,
we should probably put on some tunes. Well, like just take it down a notch,
Okay.
right? Like you seem a little clamped,
I'm relaxing.
and we'll
Guys, you in the library? Angela, I think they're in the library.
we got
Do not touch my blowtorches. What's wrong with you guys?
Guys, I'm not relaxed anymore. I'm kind of freaking out.
We want to move somewhere else. Let's get out.
No, okay, we let's do this. Go through and look through some music. We need some a style or something that might be able to help us out. Maybe there's a style of music. Just call out. Are you finding any new styles over there, Nick?
No, I've just got a lot of. It looks like I got some Afro pop. I've got some Latin.
Okay.
Ready or not, here we go.
Oh, he's still coming. He's
What are you
Maybe
doing?
like some bossa nova
Why
or
is
something.
she in on it? What's up with her? Why
Some
is
Stan
Angela?
Getz. There's some Stan Getz. Put
There's
the
Stan
Getz
Getz in
on.
here. I got some madrigals. Like what else do we got here? A concerto.
It's a lot of
music?
jazz.
I
Wait,
smell your
Stop.
fear.
Wait. What'd you say?
It's a lot of jazz. He's got like he's got a lot of jazz in here.
Yeah, but nobody really listens to jazz.
I mean, you kind of
That's just something you say to like charm someone at a party. They're
Here
like,
I
I love jazz.
come.
Oh shit!
Angela,
Wait.
Yeah.
Hold on, the extension cord's caught on the bottom of the stairs. Can you pull that up?
What do they got an extension
Guys,
cord for?
stuck. Hold on.
Get-
Jesus.
Come on, pull it.
Is that good?
Okay, guys. This is what we need to do right now. we have to play some jazz. I think the only way to protect ourselves right now from this crazy
I need like fight
bloodlust
music.
man.
We're gonna have to take him out. I need like fucking like I don't know
like half the
Poison
Muse
or,
songs. Like you ever notice that Muse song sounds like they're coming down a mountain range, like going into battle.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we need jazz.
There you go. You got it. There you go. I got plenty of room now.
No.
They're getting closer. They're getting closer.
Wait, why? Why do we have to put on jazz?
We have to put on jazz to protect ourselves. Haven't you guys ever heard of the Axeman?
You mean the sax man? Is that like a jazz, like the sax, like the axe is like a guitar?
No, and the Axeman, the Axeman.
No.
There's one.
Guys, what are you doing? You listen to some vinyl in here?
Yeah, what's going on? You guys listen to John Coltrane? What's going on?
You guys are being weird. Why are you being so?
Oh, I'm being weird.
We're trying to take it down a notch. We're listening to some jazz, and Mandaddy's got a story for us.
Sounds good.
You guys want to hear my jazz murder story?
Of course. Is there any other genre of murder?
It's the murders you don't do.
Between 1918 and 1919, New Orleans, as I like to say,
Nolan
was terrified by multiple attacks and murders by the mysterious Axeman.
It's not that mysterious.
Yeah, a little bit. You'll find out why.
All right.
Now, during this time, there are over a dozen attacks and at least 6 murders. The first took place on May 22nd, 1918, when Joseph Maggio and his wife, Catherine, were sleeping in their home. The killer snuck into the house and cut the couple's throats with a straight razor while they slept in their bed. After the initial cuts to the neck, the killer then bashed in their heads with an axe, perhaps to hide the initial cause of death. He wanted to keep the axe thing as his motive, It's like, I don't want to be...
His calling card.
Yeah, come on.
He messed it up from the beginning.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, damn, I'm supposed to be the axe guy.
Also,
I forgot.
1918 forensics might have been, on that verge where they were like, did he bash their heads in and then slice the throat?
It's like Lassie was really big. They bring in a dog, and they're like, "What do you think, Lassie?" And like, yeah, it was the axe. It was the axe.
Razor Man doesn't sound as exciting as Axeman.
You remember Lassie a lot different than I do, because I remember Lassie just looking for people down the well, not for massive murder victims or anything.
They brought her in to investigate axe crimes.
Now, Joseph survived long enough to be discovered by his brother, but died hours later. Catherine's neck had been cut so deep that her head was nearly severed. And she did not survive. The police ruled out robbery since nothing had been taken from the home. The killer did leave his bloodied clothes at the scene, as he evidently changed into clean clothes before leaving. Just want to gussy up before going out in the town and killing people.
Were these clothes taken from the residence, or was it a premeditated murder?
No, just there were bloodied clothes there and no person.
He brought a change of clothes.
Yeah, he brought
or he just walked out butt-ass naked.
Sure.
Gym bag.
just get in my burpees at the end of the night.
Yep.
No suspects were found. On June 27, 1918, Louis Besmer and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, were attacked in the back of his grocery store. It is worthy to note that most of his victims were Italian grocers.
What?
Yeah.
That's a very,
very specific.
Why do we have to know that?
Yeah.
It does actually come up later with the way the police looked at it. Now, this is in the back of the store where they were actually living. And once again, they were attacked while they slept with an axe. Both survived the attack, though Harriet would later die in August after surgery to correct her paralyzed face.
Jesus.
And still, the attacks continued. Each time, the method was similar. The killer would sneak in at night, usually remove a back panel of the house that he would use a chisel to remove. An axe was used at some point in all the attacks.
You know what's so awful about that, too, is that some axes were probably blunt. So it was just a blunt bludgeoning.
Oh, yeah. Would he sharpen him first?
The police had several leads and possible suspects, but none of them panned out. Since many of the attacks began as victims were sleeping, no one ever had an accurate description of the man. The only recurring description was that of a large, dark figure.
With an axe.
With an axe.
That really narrows it down.
Now, some in the police department felt that the murders seemed to follow the methods of several murders that took place in 1911, but a solid connection was never made. During the time of the spree, the press, of course, picked up on the story. Soon, all of New Orleans was living in fear at night because of who the local papers dubbed the Axeman.
This was the third victim?
Yes, at this time.
Okay.
Due to the ethnicity of the victims, some surmised that the killings were somehow mafia-related. But many felt that the brutality And the fact that no one ever had a clear description of the killer made it a little more ominous.
Yeah, this is the 20th century, the teenage years of the 20th century. So it was kind of like, well, you know what? This isn't a hate crime.
This is also during World War One, though.
Could have been afterwards.
That was when the wasn't there like a sort of vilification of like Italian Americans going on in like the media
was it
during that
Sacco
time?
and Vanzetti? Wasn't
Sacco
that
and
the trial?
Vanzetti, yeah.
The xenophobic.
Yep.
It's you guys, so smart.
Know what you're talking about. That's so impressive. You guys are like a walking Wikipedia.
Oh, Wikipedia! Speak to me.
Now, the fact that people thought there might be a supernatural element to it was spurred on by the fact that the local newspaper received a letter.
Ghost Axe.
And I'm going to read... I only took out a little bit of this letter because it's so hip, but this is the letter for the most part. It was dated Hell, March 13th, 1919. So it came from Hell, just like Jack the Ripper. He liked to sign his stuff from Hell, so obviously they've got a decent mail service in the
what's
underworld.
the postage on that?
No, it said, in part, Hell, March 13th, 1919. Esteemed mortal of New Orleans, they have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human, but a spirit, and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman.
Damn.
Oh.
When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brains of he whom I have sent below to keep me company.
Wow, that is some cold, hard motherfucker shit right there.
But he just wants friends, you know. He just wants people to hang out,
Keep him
with,
company.
you know.
Right, that's what I said.
It's so it's sad
It is sad.
It's desperate.
for him, not the dead people. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as a most horrible murderer, which I am.
Sure.
But I could be much worse if I wanted to.
Oh.
If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, and the worst.
Boastful.
For I am in close relationship with the Angel of Death. Now, to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time, on next Tuesday night, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I'm going to make a little preposition.
About.
Under.
A little one.
2.
Over.
I'm going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music. And I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then, so much the better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it out on that specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe.
So was this entire letter published in a newspaper?
Yeah, the whole
Like
thing. Yeah.
Several newspapers? Like was
it was sent out. I can't remember the Picayune or whatever. It was the first one to pick it up, and then of course everyone else ran with it.
Gotcha. So basically, they were trying to elicit fear anonymously to the masses.
Well, he was.
Social media.
Oh yeah, basically.
I was
yeah.
going to say, it sounds very much like somebody, I mean, the story had already been picked up on the news, and then somebody sort of picks it up and says, I'm going to write a story, and then, I don't know, what should I get like the whole town to do? I don't know, play jazz or something.
So this is basically the 1918 version of 4chan.
Trolling, yeah, like some
this is
dude,
4chan.
yeah, it was like a early proto 4chan guy.
Where they're getting like kickbacks from the jazz band lobby.
Yeah,
for
like
the newspaper.
There you go.
It was like
them.
the president of the Jazz
They're like,
Corporation.
How can we get every home
Follow
to
the
have
money.
a jazz
Yeah.
band?
Thank
in it?
you.
Everybody gets a gig tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Who has Tuesdays off? I've got an idea.
That's why jazz was so popular in New Orleans. It's like they were forced into it, otherwise they'd die.
Someone gets off work. Martha, we're jazz fans now.
Just get used to it. And so it ends. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, which is like a hellish atmosphere you go to yourself.
Torturous?
Tartarus. Tartarus. Tartarus.
Greek.
Isn't that
Good sauce.
Greek etymology.
Thank you. And it is about time I leave your earthly home
I will cease my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or realm of fantasy.
It's like King James Version meets J.D. Salinger.
Meets like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Like a well-read 14-year-old.
Thee shall know my kung fu grip.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like an ESL poetry slam.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And it was signed the Axeman. So that night, sure enough, almost every house blared live or recorded jazz.
God bless him.
And the killing stopped. In all, at least 6 people were killed and over a dozen attacked by the Axeman. So whether you believe he was a deranged killer or some otherworldly demon, we all agree on the life-saving power of jazz. So put on some jazz. Put on some jazz right now. We need to put on some jazz. We put on some jazz. Because look at him. It looks like he's making him. He started to dig it. He started to kill. He started to chill.
Angela, this was the quartet that you had me listen to the other night. What were they called? God damn it.
The Cattell Quartet?
Cattell Quartet. That's what it was. Yeah, kind of like cartel, but cats.
Yep. Yeah,
and
sure.
Just meowing over the music.
Just lots of meowing with saxophones.
Atonal meowing, like off key.
This is really avant-garde.
That's really good. It seems to be working, though.
I'm hurting my head.
One thing I do have to say, though, that Axeman letter was sent from 1919.
Yes.
The 20s are known as what?
The Roaring Twenties.
The Jazz Age. That's amazing.
Both are right.
I didn't say you were wrong. Jesus Christ. All right, that's it. I'm done with you. I don't want to listen to jazz
put
anymore.
Down the knife. No, see, put down the knife. See,
Yeah.
put down
Angela, phase 3. Let's enact it. Come on.
Shit.
What the fuck?
That doesn't sound good.
You know, I've been trying in earnest to give you a great Oyster barrel, and you guys have just been
What? Hold
Yeah.
on. What?
in my face.
Wait, you're going to use a what?
Oyster barrel?
An Oyster barrel.
What's that?
Oyster barrel.
Thank you.
Oyster barrel? I don't speak sea, Captain.
Why are you working in cahoots
I
with him,
think it's
Angela?
Acadian.
Because we planned this
questions.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually responded back to her email.
Yeah. I sent an email.
I didn't get it. Did you get an email?
I didn't get an email.
I don't have a computer.
I don't, yeah.
You guys just don't get it, do you?
No.
Okay, well then, here we go. Now the Oyster barrel is finally, it's already cold. You guys can't eat any more oysters, and
I'd have an oyster. I don't want an oyster.
I've been prepping a long time for this meal, so if you guys don't eat this, then I don't think we can be friends anymore. Angela,
Whoa.
unveil,
Yep.
please.
Whoa! Holy cow! Those things are
massive!
I've never seen one that big.
I don't
makes no
understand
sense.
this. What I'm seeing.
That's easily got to be the size of like a small car, like a Fiat or something.
Even more like a mid-sized sedan or something. It's got
There's
legs.
a kiddie pool of garlic butter sitting over there in the
that's
corner.
nice.
Do you see that shit?
Oh, that's nice. It's aromatic.
It's
aromatic. I
What
guess
does
it is.
not go good with garlic butter?
Thank you.
More garlic butter. You
Also
have to
bread.
have more.
Yep.
What are we
Guys.
looking at?
What is this thing?
This is the King Felix crab.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
shit.
God, that is impressive.
And Angela, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can only find this bona fide, genuine specimen in one place on Earth, and that is Restrepum Bay.
That's right,
This
sir.
this
That's
seems
right.
To be larger than a normal crab would be.
Yeah.
Angela, smack it on the head with my cane.
That's not going to do it, man.
Nope, you
No.
just broke my cane.
Yep, your cane's
It's going to
broken.
take a lot more than that. It's going to take like a sledgehammer and
This
maybe
thing is the
hold
size
on,
of
hold
like a
on.
Clydesdale horse.
Got it. You guys ready?
All right.
Okay.
Ha
Fuck!
Oh,
Is
that's
that a chainsaw?
Yes! I'm gonna cut this crab open
Oh,
now!
no. Guys, we gotta side panel again because I'm not. Oh, dude.
Yeah, Angela, side pan, put the chainsaw down. You didn't say you were going to use a chainsaw.
No.
It's the only way you can break into this crab.
Just prime the pump before you.
Listen, guys, we gotta break open this crab. Gotta dip it in that garlic butter.
Okay.
Take a break.
That sounds like a plan.
Eat this crab. But first,
I have to cut it open!
Oh, God.
Once again, Michael Winslow, ladies and gentlemen.
You're listening to Fort Fritz.
Open up these crabs! Woo!
Man, so much meat on these crabs. Look at me. I'm gonna dive right in.
Guys, watch out!
Get those legs! Get those legs! Watch out for those
She's
legs!
still flailing the chainsaw around.
It's really scary.
Watch out behind it!
This seems way more dangerous than the oysters.
There are like 6-inch dagger chunks of shell flying at us. Watch out!
Watch it! Watch it!
Hey!
The lines appear to be very surgical in nature, though. They're very straight, and like she's opening up large parts of this.
She knows what she's doing.
I know
Oh,
what
my
I'm
God.
doing. I know what I'm doing.
Angela, you did some surgical work on them brains, man. I'll tell you what, man. Them brains, they were cut so
Crab
nice.
brains. You can make soup out of that, I hear.
Let's have a competition who can get the most meat out of this crab leg.
Oh, you ready?
Ready?
All right, here we go. Come on, ready?
Guys,
Where did he get a chainsaw from?
This is not good.
No, mine's bigger. Mine's bigger. Got it.
Whoa.
Look at this. All intact. All intact. All intact.
There's like a spray of crab meat like I've never seen.
it's like juice, too, like Old Bay water
I
and
don't think
crab
he knows
blood.
how to use a chainsaw, guys.
Stinging my eyes.
Okay, I wasn't ready.
Watch where you swing that thing.
It's all right, easy. I wasn't able to get the whole meat out in one fell swoop like that. All right, Angela, you
Yep.
got me beat.
Look at her. She's holding up an entire piece of crab meat like the size of a salmon. That's
Did you
amazing.
guys ever see the Gordon Ramsay thing where he rolls the rolling pin on the legs, the spider legs of the crab? He gets the meat out like that.
No, never seen that. That's a really good idea.
Way to
Right?
do it. It's the way to
Yeah.
do
When I
it.
saw that, I was like, okay, fuck you, Gordon Ramsay, but well done.
It's a game changer. It's a game changer.
You're speaking his language.
Right, like I feel like he would then
He was
nod,
like, fuck,
nod in
he's
respect.
like,
Fuck you back.
You.
guys. Fuck
Yeah.
He's looking at you and goes,
Fuck you
fuck
back
us.
for learning.
Fuck us.
All right, Angela, here's your personal check.
A personal
$15,000. You beat me fair and square.
I don't think this is good.
When did you decide on steaks?
Oh, a long time ago. Actually, Angela over here, she's the best goddamn chainsawer
Whoa,
in the
watch where you swing that.
Tri-County area.
Hey,
You are not.
hey, give that to me. You know
I'm
what
s-
you're doing.
I'm sorry.
Yep,
I
give that to me.
apologize.
Guys, I don't like this.
I don't like it at all.
There's
Crab
too
is
much.
delicious.
Oh, I like that part of it.
I don't like it either, but one day I think I can maybe best her.
Maybe if you keep fishing these enormous horse-sized crabs out of the bay, and you guys can keep practicing, then maybe one day.
I don't need practice.
They're gonna
Clearly not.
Yeah, you're really good. You're
You're
good.
like flayed this thing. We can eat. We can definitely eat.
For a
and I will
while.
eat. I feel like there's no way we can consume this much crab, though.
It's a
right?
lot of
Like,
crab. It's a lot of crab.
I'm going with meat.
You don't know.
I don't even know if I can do a pound, right? Like a pound of crab.
Well, I mean, I could do a pound of crab, but usually there's a bunch of like shells involved. This is just like an
Oh my
actual
God.
pound of
We can
meat.
Angela, that brain was delicious, was it
You're
not?
just like pulling handfuls of
Delicious.
They're
crab.
really
So
eating a lot of
buttery.
brain.
Oh,
Have you
it's
noticed that they've
so
seen-
buttery.
It's very strange.
Like really
Why
eccentric
the
on
brain's
the brain.
the best part?
Why
Why
are
is
you
it the
guys
best
so
part?
bent up on this crab brain? Aren't they like really bitter?
One more again, open another one.
I feel like
How many brains does this crab have?
Come on, man!
Yeah!
I feel
So
like I'm
this
on
is-
an episode of Nickelodeon or something. I'm covered. This is messed up.
this is giving me like a weird kind of vibe from the earlier story that maybe they're trying to eat the brain to get smarter.
I don't know.
That's not going to help.
They're gonna like gain the knowledge of the crab or something. I don't know.
They're going to
Did you-
become smarter
Well, so,
than
like,
a crab.
What can a crab know besides like pinching?
So right, then I think that my theory holds in that they're probably trying to get smarter with the crab brains and the
Couldn't hurt.
addition of the chainsaws and the brains and trying to, you know, you guys ever hear of the chainsaw professor?
Wait, what?
I don't know, but I want to.
The chainsaw professor, otherwise known as
Angela.
Thank you.
No, that's the chainsaw wizard.
I'm sorry.
Right, Chainsaw Wizard sounds like a Black Sabbath song.
Thank you.
That's that's honestly the best one too.
Yep.
The Chainsaw Professor, otherwise known as Professor Max Bernard Frank, was a professor of, I believe, sociology in California, Fresno.
So he was an actual professor.
Correct. Yes, this was a man. Not he didn't get his doctorate in chainsawing.
Right.
He got it in other things.
Because that sounds
As you
awesome.
should. You should though.
It also could be like a professional wrestler's name, Professor Chainsaw.
Professor Chainsaw does sound like Bonesaw from Spider-Man. Bonesaw.
Who was Macho Man Randy Savage,
Correct.
right?
We were doing that earlier.
Thank you.
So the story of the Chainsaw Professor actually starts with a man named Tracy Leroy Newt. Unfortunately, they were not able to identify him from his
Unusual
remains.
name.
From his remains when they found him. He was you don't want to say transient, but he was a runaway. He was a troubled youth. His mom had problems with him, and he was getting to be too big to handle, and she sent him off to go to a juvenile home, and he basically ran off and decided he was going to go to Hollywood and make his fame and fortune on the big screen.
Well, now I feel bad because I know this isn't going to end well.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm telling you the story.
Depends on your description of well.
Beginning of this was Chainsaw Professor. So Tracy managed to make his way to California, and like so many runaways, instead of being greeted by movie producers and directors, he was greeted by drug dealers and pimps and the underworld of Hollywood.
Right.
The prevailing theory was that Tracy began prostituting himself in the area, and was the John, I guess you would say. Is it John?
John's
the other guy, right?
Yeah.
So one of his Johns became this man Max Bernard Frank, who was a professor at the university. The reason that we come to know Tracy is because his remains were found scattered across. They list the counties. The guy drove around and
a
distributed
multi-county.
He tried to get rid. Basically, there isn't much detail around the murder. They know that the chainsaw was used to get him into smaller pieces so that he could move him easier and distribute him,
but not necessarily the implement of death.
Correct. They believe that it was probably some type of stabbing or
but escalated to the chainsaw. It didn't
Correct.
start with the chainsaw. It moved on to the chainsaw.
Correct.
Was this body distributed across highways, interstates?
There was different locations. It seemed to be sort of haphazardly scattered in kind of in a way to circumvent investigation.
Did he just drive like delivering newspapers? Just like
throwing out an arm
tossing
here.
it out of the window?
Just whipping out femurs left and right.
Or a weird murdery Santa Claus. Like, you've been a very good boy this year.
That's ridiculous.
So the way that they ended up catching Max, the chainsaw professor, was that he rented that chainsaw under his own name.
Oh, great.
Always a good
Okay.
idea.
And
Always
then
a good idea.
returned it to the hardware store with bits of skin, hair, and flesh.
Someone
He didn't
wanted to
clean
get
it?
caught. He wanted to get
There
caught.
were actually two separate investigations going on. One to identify the remains of this person who had been scattered across the area, and another to find out what the blood and hair was in this chainsaw.
Oh, so it was hair wrapped into the motor and the
Right, they
engine?
were in the internal mechanisms.
Oh,
Apparently, he had
gums it up.
He had attempted to clean it, but they found something in there, and basically the two paths converged, and they arrested Max. This was in 1987.
1987?
1987.
Damn.
There was an interesting, trial in that Max's defense lawyer presented the defense that Max couldn't have committed these murders because he was, quote, too nerdy and inept. He was
Wait a minute, his public defender?
This
or
was his defender.
Oh my god.
How rude.
Wow.
So,
Hey, look at this little geek. He couldn't do this.
It's like, thank you?
he was,
He looks up and goes, dude.
we didn't talk about this.
Well, the late 80s were, I can see power tools being a sign of status. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, look at this nerd.
I'm not
like,
a nerd. Look,
Can't even
I've
lift
got a-
that shit. It was the glove don't fit thing. Like, pick up that chainsaw. I can't. It doesn't work.
Leaf
Murder?
blower, yes, but chainsaw, no.
Come on.
The leaf blower murderer, I really want to hear about because
There's
that's
actually-
really interesting.
Oh my god,
It takes years to tell it.
That's just loud and annoying. You're not killing me at all.
On season 20 of Leaf Blower Murder.
Why don't I just move? And he was actually his public defender, so yeah, he wasn't being paid, at least by Max. The guy's name is Mark Kaiserman, and I guess the most incriminating bit of evidence that they found was a collection of what the investigators deemed the largest stash of homoerotic pornography that they have ever seen.
What?
Among which
Largest?
the largest, I guess, by the Fresno County Police Department.
And this was 1987?
87, right? So I mean, it's probably like advanced since then. but-
So that means that they saw some stashes of porn and been like, "That's a lot of
That's
gay
a lot of porn.
Like, oh my god, that's way more gay porn than we've seen before.
It was a remarkably large amount
Wow.
from the norm, from the median.
An astonishingly large amount.
Right, like a normal amount probably just gets glossed over, at least in the headlines, but this was like noteworthy amounts of gay porn. So okay, well, in addition to the stash were photos of the victim before, I guess, the murder in sort of a pornographic, romantic capacity. He had photos of this guy. So that was, I guess, the most damning evidence. But Kaiserman, his public defender, added to his defense that that Max was too nerdy, too much of a klutz to wield a gun, let alone manage a chainsaw. And Kaiserman repeatedly reminded jurors that Max had cemented over his entire front yard to avoid having to use a lawnmower.
I feel like
That's awesome.
What? This lawyer's got to be saying, like, am I right? A lot.
Right.
Am I right?
It's a
Look at
very
this
am
guy.
I right defense.
Am I right?
He also
Like a
likes,
take my wife.
He also likes to go to the well one too many times and just says, by the way, manhole cover laser discs of gay porn. I'm talking a lot of gay porn.
And you invent a new medium for the amount of gay porn he had.
Manhole cover size laser discs.
The most inconvenient digital media that's ever been seen.
But 1987, that's like...
It's like
whoa.
a triple extra large
Right.
pizza of gay porn.
Whoa, dude, that's too much pornography.
Avoid the Noid.
Despite the creative defense that Kaiserman put forward, Max was tried and accused for the murder. The jury, it doesn't say how long they took, but apparently the prosecution's argument was that there was an attempt by, and I don't know that they had any evidence for this, but there was an attempt by Tracy to extort money from Max in lieu of not outing him, I guess, to the local community. And in a fit of quote-unquote homosexual rage, killed
does
and
that
dismembered thank you.
Gay rage!
Killed and dismembered this man and distributed his body parts across the tri-state area, the tri-county area, excuse me. Max didn't live very long. He ended up dying of a heart attack in Cochran State Prison in 1997. He was sentenced to 25 years to life, possibility of parole after 17 in the year 1988. One of the more interesting things, actually, so that was, I guess, the culmination of the Chainsaw Professor, but one of the more interesting things I thought, so this is a complete break of character for this person, right? Like, normal, quote-unquote, professor guy, has
Sociology.
friends, everyone kind of, like, knows him as a very meek, mild, low-key kind of guy. And then there was actually an article that was released the same year that he was arrested by that had an interview with some of his coworkers, and they mentioned that he had just received a grant from the state to study some local county and town public offices and it's very boring shit.
Yeah, but to run for office?
No. To investigate essentially their usage of tax funds and how they were being funneled into local community government. And then this was basically he was, this was a nerdy man. He was elated with this. He wanted to he was looking forward to this work that he was going to be doing. And then this weird, completely out of character, chainsaw murder happens, and the guy maintains his innocence the entire time. His sister comes up as a character witness and basically is like, well, this makes absolutely no sense. We have no idea what's going on. And really the only tie, I guess, the hard evidence is the fact that he rented the fucking chainsaw under his name and it has bits of hair and shit in it.
That is hard evidence.
It's probably hard to get away from.
I don't know. I was thinking conspiracy theory.
Most trees don't have
going
hair.
What if he uncovered something and he someone
follow the paper trail to the Department of Lumberjacks. They know.
Right? Maybe who the fuck? I don't know.
Like a John Grisham novel.
The Lumberjack Mafia.
I feel like there's something there.
Maybe it was still there from the guy who had the chainsaws previously.
Oh, good. That's a good idea.
If you run a chainsaw, you're going to notice if there's a bunch of hair in
blood
it.
They said bits, not bunch.
Bits.
Like this hair bits.
And don't forget, he's a nerd and a noob when it comes to chainsaws. So maybe he's like, I thought they were supposed to be there.
That's really negligent of the people that are renting the chainsaw. It's like, well, this one's got a bunch of hair and skin in here. You take this. You take this.
After school job for some high schooler who just doesn't care in 1987.
You think they're examining every chainsaw that comes in and out of that place?
Are you covering for somebody? I mean, seriously.
Don't worry about it. But check it out. I managed to... I didn't wrest it away. She put it on the ground, but I took it while she wasn't looking.
Hey!
No, just chill.
No!
There's a bunch of hair in this fucking chainsaw.
There's a lot of hair in that.
You see that?
It's a ton of hair, but that seems kind of curly.
Sort of swarthy.
Yeah, it seems kind of curly from the hair.
How were you able to run that for more than a minute? That's a lot of hair.
What are you trying to say here?
It's a shoulder strap.
Why is there so much hair in this chainsaw?
Well, the King Felix crabs have luxurious mustaches.
Angela, oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this guy fucked crab.
That's the one thing you don't tell anyone. Why did you? God damn it.
Crabs don't fuck.
He genetically engineered giant crabs with mustaches. What is the purpose of that? You're
It's kind of awesome.
weird, dude.
They taste amazing.
Yeah,
You guys haven't even tried the brain.
It's so good.
Try the
I
brain.
don't want just give me a little bit of the leg meat, a little bit of the brain on the side. You know, I'll dip
try
the
it.
meat into the brain if I have
That
to.
seems unnecessary.
Okay, no, I mean, live like the natives, right?
Do you want a mustache whisker to like pick your teeth?
Damn right, I do.
I'm telling you, it's just like seaweed.
A little briny.
Right back. Right?
All right.
Oh, it gets in there. It gets in there. It's,
You know what?
It's a deep flavor.
Nick
I
Spry.
could eat.
Yep.
It's bristly.
You're not supposed to chew
Don't
it.
eat the
No,
hair.
Don't
you
chew
don't
it.
eat-
Stop,
eat
stop.
Not the
Take it
hair,
out,
eat
take
the
it
meat. No, it gets in the back of your throat.
God.
It gets right back there.
God, you have to write an instruction manual for everything around here.
Yeah, you're not eating the shell. Turn it over.
Oh,
Look,
okay.
it's like water. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's way
delicious,
better. Oh,
right?
that's delicious.
That's not
There you go.
Wow.
Thank
Not
you.
bad.
Buttery.
Wow.
It's buttery.
That's good.
Once you get the hair out of the back of your throat, it's buttery. Dive in, Kaz. Come on.
I've got. I'm headed over to the fucking kiddie pool of garlic. Like I got my floaties. I got my floaties made of crab meat on. Like I'm ready to go.
He is going in. He is complete. Okay, wait. Oh, he's totally submerged.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm in.
amazing.
Okay.
There's like bits of garlic,
Bathing
parsley,
in it.
and
How
shit in
deep
here.
is that kitty?
You
So good
are
for
my
you.
hero.
A butter splash has just drenched the fucking kitchen floor now.
It's the
Everyone
best
just
thing
be
ever.
careful.
You can like.
It's amazing how you can just drop things on the floor unironically now and pick it up.
That's
immediately.
what I'm
They get
doing.
better. They get
Yeah.
better. The 5-second rule is not like 30-second rule. Let it really marinate.
Let
for
it
like,
get in there.
pick that
Let
thing
some
and put it
butter
in
get
your
on
face.
I feel like the garlic just kind of kills any germs that are going to get on it, so it's
Also
fine.
that.
Thank
Right?
you.
Yeah.
You think I could do like a belly, like just a super splash down the hallway here?
Oh, I know you can.
You
I want to
can.
see this.
I
seen
don't
it.
want you to do it.
Well, I want you guys to do it. Is that cool? You want to entertain me?
Nah.
No,
Well,
want you to
because
do it.
this butter is a psychoactive. So in a couple minutes, you will be doing this.
Oh god.
Thank you so
How do
much for
do that?
listening to episode 36 of Fort Fritz.
All right, thank you for listening to Fort Fritz.
I'm actually, I'm more woke than ever.
I'm channeling all of the past Angelas right now.
What about you, Dad?
Freaking out.
Guys, listen up, my kid. Guys, freaking out. I knew we lived with the person that's probably gonna kill us.
Brutally. I totally bought those and put them in the bay.
Check it out. Fire in my face.
Oh, we're all gonna die. The last thing we're ever gonna see is Fritz with butter and garlic.